Hi, my name's Eileen, and this is my friend Gail, and we're here in my other friend Marie's backyard to show you how to band for winter moth. Winter moth is an introduced species. It got brought over in the soil. It pupates in the soil, and it got brought over in potting in bedding plants. And it's the insect, you see the loopers hanging down in the spring that eat all of your deciduous leaves. Your ornamental trees and your fruit trees, it strips them. You will remember that. In Marie's garden, we're going to do a Gary oak because it's here. Why are we banding now? Well, winter moth come out in the winter, as their name says. They pupate in the ground, and that first frost, somewhere November, will activate them, and they will break pupation, and the males will come out first, followed by the females. And we're trying to stop the females from marching up the tree and laying eggs up in your leaves, or where the leaf buds are, where the caterpillars will completely decimate your trees and your leaves. There is another species, the Zebraceous spanworm. It's a native species, and if it was only it, we wouldn't have to worry so much because it has a good healthy parasite population that keeps it in check. But the winter moth being introduced, not so much. We're going to band last 2 weeks of October. You should find a nice sunny break there, or anyway, not pouring, so that you can get it on and everything will stick to the tree, and yes, it's good. What do we need? This is our list. I use fiberglass insulation, torn in about 4 to 6 inch strips. I use fiberglass, pink or yellow, because it fills the crevices of the really rough bark trees, and it does not break down over the winter. Cotton quilt batting I've seen fall apart and just make a total mess and get quite moldy. You'll notice in nurseries that they sell kits with finely corrugated brown paper. I would use those on your smoother bark trees, but I would stick with the fiberglass to fill the cracks on your rough bark trees. I use packing tape. I used to use masking tape, but it fell apart too. We had packing tape, and it works a charm. About 2 inches wide, inexpensive. I use a wide putty knife. It's still gooey. It's been put away for a year and it's still sticky. And this is the product, Tanglefoot. You can get it from most nurseries and some other stores like Borden's, Buckerfield's, Integrity. Those are just the ones that I can think of, but I'm sure there's others. A tub like this should do 2 of these trees, and it would do probably half a dozen smaller stemmed fruit trees or ornamentals. It's difficult doing trees like hazelnuts because they're so multi-stemmed. The best thing you could do for them is make sure the overstory trees, like the trees that are taller, are banded so the loopers do not come down on the trees. Okay, are we ready to band, Gail? Ready. Let's do it. So, I put the insulation, I'm about 5'4", at about my shoulder height, or maybe, the big thing is you want to keep it away from like your Yorkies and your small toddlers. You do not want them. That stuff is really hard to get off. It's hot. Just be careful, it gets in your hair, it's really gooey. I'll take the list off. Okay. So I run the packing tape, sticky side down, smooth side up. I put 1 pass on just to make sure it's kind of attached. And then a little bit above, and then the third pass and so I usually leave a margin. It's just the way I've always done it. You're trying to really stop her from coming up. You want it really wedged in the cracks. And then, thank you, Gail, the tanglefoot. You spread it on the packing tape. You do not want to get it too thick because it will melt and run down your tree. You want it, I mean, if you wanted to say icing depth, that's always up to, yes, some people like more. But just try to make it thin. If it gets covered with bodies, you could always add a second. And don't worry about things like this. It just happens. You can just, because there's no fiberglass there. Where these brown bits are right here, they're probably a little bit too thick. So if you just do it a downward motion to try to even them out, and you go all the way around the tree. And we're going to pretend that we've gone all the way around the tree. So, time has passed, and it's Valentine's Day. You should be taking it off. Just take an X-Acto knife and slice down here. Have your friend kind of hold it there, and then take it and roll it gooey side in, and you get a nice roll about that in diameter, which you can just plunk in the garbage. To recap, the band is for winter moth. You use fiberglass for rough bark trees. You use fiberglass insulation, packing tape, a wide putty knife, tanglefoot on the last 2 weeks of October, and off around Valentine's Day. You want to take it off then because insects are going to be starting to come and hatch. You don't want to get other insects caught in it, and you do not want to get small hummingbirds caught in it. Thank you very much.